on uh, by thanking Carrie for every Saturday over the last many years being the one to get this thing going and letting people in. And she does a much better job than I do. And I'm grateful. And so it bows to her to begin. And then to others. And who are they? They are our board. Jim is here. Lisa's here. I don't see this as a challenging day for some because we're often working between traditions, by the way. This one, that one. My niece was telling me that she is, I just got a kind of understanding that she's kind of in the pagan tradition, a kind of Wiccan, not in the negative sense, but in this really earth-bound, earth-based, solidly connected to the realities of our planet, and really invests herself in sustainable farming and other things. That's her life. And she was someone who, in New York, for example, was one of the first people to get rooftop gardens approved in schools. How exciting is that? Gives me goosebumps. And so when we hear things about other traditions, I want us to be careful, not to go, oh, that's different than me, that's other, because I want everyone to recognize there is good happening, right? Even if it's not in this thing called your day, right? You're not celebrating Easter, you're celebrating Passover, you're not celebrating either, you're celebrating Ramadan, really, that there is good in the whole of the world. And for me, that's an important point today that we'll be talking about today. And then I want to thank Lynn and this whole Sangha for their amazing, beautiful feast on Thursday for our guests and friends. And I got my husband finally there. I felt really excited about that. He found out that not everybody likes zero Gatorade. Thought he was doing a good thing. And he realized he was not. That was not a popular item. He thought he was doing right. And this is how we learn, also, isn't it? We learn about what's really most beneficial, what's useful. And that doesn't in any way negate the effort, does it? Or the intention that's there. We've been learning each of our times, haven't we, Lynn? Like a little more of this, a little less of that. Where do we put this? How do we make sure everybody gets it? And that's a process that we're gonna continue. We all have some feedback, I think, about last time. There were some things that worked perfectly, things that were a little confused. And this is our job, is to make it as loving, as easy, as right as we can possibly make it. And so again, bows truly to each of you, because whether you were there or you weren't there, and this is something we have to work on, it doesn't mean you're not a contributor. You're a contributor because you're being here right now actually fuels and feeds our Sangha, not just monetarily. It would be a big mistake to understand it this way, but really by your very presence, by your very spirit, by your very willingness to show up when visiting in a cool morning, when it'd be really easy to be at Lofty's Coffee, just having a fabulous sausage biscuit. But no, there is this commitment then by hook or crook, right? By hook or crook. Sometimes my husband shows up, not because he's excited, but he's okay, I could see the value in that. And this is actually what I want to then talk about today. And Libby's on too. I want to wave to her. I want to talk about the article I sent. And the article I sent was called Forget Happiness. Forget Happiness. Now, what I know about Christ, I spent some time, not many years, but till about 12 in that tradition. What I know about Christ was he was not known for happiness. He was not known for his bliss states. He was not known for that. He was, however, known for a certain countenance or a way of being, and a way of being on the earth that ultimately was so valued and so regarded and so prized that it became an entire tradition, right? And then as the Buddha himself, uh, who had a brief period of bliss states and then ultimately abandoned it. And I want to see who remembers their theology. Yeah. Oh no. Why? Why did the Buddha, anybody who knows anything about the story a little bit, and I'm going to always help you, why did he abandon, though he had this pristine, all abiding, it appeared, bliss state, and he gave it away? He gave it up for something else. What was that about? And as did then Christ, who then, in a very similar way, we're going to start to see some similes, actually gave up his life to this. By the way, I think they're the same things. I think they're the same things. What do you suppose?
So that others could have it too.
So others could have it too, Renee says. So that others, not just this idea of the one self, could be a benefit, could, right, that there would be a contribution by this very surrendering of this idea of happiness. We're going to talk about what it really means, because it is merely a temporal state, as is this life, then, said Jesus, didn't he? You're not going to get to keep this either. And so, what? If you can't hold on to happiness, it is merely a state. It is going to come and go. And this life as well, it is going to come and go. Then the question that Ken McLeod asked again and again in the article called Forget Happiness is, so then where do you put your pennies? Where do you keep your marbles? What are you going to invest in? In silence, says Dennis. Towards what? Because silence alone is certainly has value towards something, but in and of itself, simply, and I can be silent, by the way. Mostly I'm pissed. Oh, can I be silent? I got a silence you don't even know. Pervading silence. Doesn't have too much to do with goodness. Right? So we have to be careful. Silence, yes, can be a contribution. Spaciousness, certainly a contribution, but towards the benefit of all, says Lynn. The benefit of all beings. And there will be times when then, isn't it true, Dennis, where silence is exactly the right thing, because there would be no language to hold it, right? There would be nothing to add to the present moment. And in fact, in this tradition, we say maybe begin there to first arrive fully, to then see what else might be, right, of benefit. But be careful, because those conditions, as Ken McLeod then says, I'm going to read a little bit from it, as all conditions are merely moments of coming and going. They are not sustainable, abiding. I'm going to look up at Rich and Libby, who I see here. Do you guys know what I'm saying?
I typed it where the question was, where do you put all your pennies? Where do you put your marbles?
Yes.
My statement was to put it in the awakening of the present moment, to put everything in just the
put everything in the
present.
awakening into the present moment, says Libby. Why, Libby?
Because that's all there is.
Right.
Or it's the most important. You could even say that it's right, because other than it's all there is right. What else do you have other than waking up to this, right?
Completely.
And that's where your peace lies.
And that's where, she says, peace, love, we could say, the benefit, right? A lot arises and lies simply within your showing up completely to it. And then Ken McLeod says, so forget happiness. And he says it for these reasons. He says, what if you could abandon the idea? I loved this inquiry that you were supposed to get happiness in this life, which is simply a part of our cultural context. By the way, it is not the whole of the world going, if we could only be happy, then it would all go well. What if you could forget the idea that what I'm looking for is happiness? What would you aspire to? If you could abandon the idea of getting happiness in your life, I'm surrendering to the reality that this is not the point of this life, is getting happy or being happy or keeping happy. We do all of those. What would you then invest in? Contentment.
The moment.
The moment. So I want you to think about it. We're all going to let go of it today. And we had a beautiful example yesterday. This is where we can use all traditions of going, I will surrender this idea of keeping this. I'm actually going to commit as a model to surrendering it, right? To giving it away to something greater. Now, both Jesus and the Buddha said this is so. There is something greater here than this temporal idea of pleasant that will, no matter who you are, no matter how much money you have, no matter how smart you are, no matter how beautiful you are. In fact, aren't we always shocked? We keep being shocked, right? I remember when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie got divorced. In my therapy sessions, people were talking about, how did this happen? How did this happen? I was like, what? What do you mean? Well, it's look at how beautiful they are. Look at how much money they have. Look at how much fame or power or influence. Be careful, influencers. Or you have what? You cannot keep it. And by the way, it is as fickle as what? The blowing wind, says the Buddha. It is as fickle as the wind. Right? This and that, says the Zen koan. Which do you grab, this or that? And the answer is nothing, because any grab is now the beginning, isn't it, truly, of suffering. Because what? I cannot keep it. I cannot hold it. It is not sustainable over time or life or this lifetime or who knows, right? How many? And so Ken MacLeod, if you got to read it, says, I love this. The pursuit of happiness for its own sake is a fool's errand. As a goal, it is frivolous. He just goes right for and unrealistic. Frivolous because happiness is a transient state, dependent on infinite conditions, and unrealistic because life is unpredictable. It is uncertain. It is groundless. And we know this, right? Nothing ultimately to hold on to. And then he goes on to say happiness as we know it from that state of, oh, I've got the new car, I've got the new video game. We've all watched our kids do this. They open the presents and looking for the next. Anybody do that with kids? Like wrap through that, and now we're on to what's next? What's the next thing? What's the next? And we're all, to some extent, aren't we, also doing it? And so what Ken MacLeod says, but is in really every spiritual tradition that I know, really, is the reality that to then practice on purpose, not only offering goodness to others, which we have a good feeling about, like we did on Thursday, right? Offering goodness to others. We're going to be practicing that in our meditation today. But he says, in addition, there is as well great value in recognizing suffering and willingly taking it on. I think, a little like Christ, right? Who they say got on the cross, not just for himself, not for his own salvation, right? Not for his own heavenly seat, but for what? All of us forever throughout all time. And then the Buddha says exactly the same without discrepancy, exactly the same. Now, their approach is slightly different in that the Buddha says it is the quality of your own heart mind that will determine your contribution. Whether you ever give money to Catholic charities, or you give it to CRC, or you show up for Philabelly, or you give old clothing and shoes to the thrift store, or not, the quality of your own heart mind is in fact your greatest gift, your greatest contribution, and your greatest, come on, oh gosh, okay, a little too many treats, maybe. Okay, sorry, it's just probably me. Yeah. Your greatest contribution to what? Your well-being, and then the well-being of others, right? And some part of us, the Buddha said, knows this deeply. Some part of us deeply knows it, and then nods, and then says, yes, I will commit. And then tomorrow morning, when someone says, and it would be wise to get up a little bit early for at least 13 to 30 minutes of stillness, silence, spaciousness, everybody forgets. Don't we? Unless we have a strong pattern and practice for it. Because what? We forget. And we forget because we're once
There are more
again,
important things to do.
we get back, don't we? Busy. We climb back into the saddle, don't we? Once again, of forgetting to attend essentially first to our own heart minds, setting, and meditation means right measure, inward right measure. And then from that, and I've said it 100,000 times and I'll keep saying it, won't I? Without that, there's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to be or do. And we keep trying it and then going, but it's not quite working. It is working, actually. It works perfectly. Now, whether that's centering prayer, meditation, Sufi dancing, I could care less. And I really mean it. If you can, and Joko said this to me and everyone knows it, go play tennis, but do that with your whole heart, mind, and being. It will be better than this, which is you practicing for some other moment, for something else, to get away from, to get towards the things you want. Go play tennis. Really, took me a while. It took me aback, like, whoop. And I knew exactly what she meant, which is if you can be wholehearted in that, it is the better thing to do, right? Isn't it? It's actually true, because greater good will come from your contented goodness, your recognition of wholeness, wholeheartedness, interconnectedness, interbeingness, and you will be nicer to all those other tennis players, won't you? Than you would be sitting here for an hour and a half, leaving going, God dang it, it doesn't get me what I want, right? And so this is what he means when he says forget happiness. He doesn't mean don't be happy. In fact, I would say quite the opposite. But happy meaning with one's wholehearted presence, said Libby, right? And then we're going to practice. But a Tonglen, let me talk about that for a minute. Tonglen means sending and taking. Sending and taking. Sending the good and then taking in the suffering. I did this workshop in LA, Westwood, LA, with Pema Chodron in the front seat where I sat for hours. to get right up next to her because I thought that will give it to me a little bit more. And there was a pregnant woman sitting next to me. And the pregnant woman started to cough and gag and looked like she actually might vomit during the practice of Tonglen as it turned to taking in the suffering. Right? And Pema stopped the practice, the instructions. And she said, "Oh no, dear, oh no, this is not correct. You do not have to take in more than you can this breath. It's the ultimate aspiration to do it for all beings everywhere without exception." And today, as a pregnant woman, right, she was afraid of hurting her baby. Right, it's what it turned out to be. She said, only to the extent that you can sustain this open heart and this stable mind. And it was an essential instruction because I didn't understand that before that moment. I didn't get it. I thought it could kill me, but that's the way. And this is the distinction, maybe, between the traditions. The Buddha says, if you are not well, if you are not right, you cannot be the benefit. You have committed yourself. So you do not need to throw yourself on the cross. That's not required. And you do need the same commitment, the same, right, as all of us do. And so we begin this practice then always, always and always. And I'm speaking directly to someone on the screen. Always begin with yourself. It must be so. We talked about it yesterday, Ermine, didn't we? It must be so. Why? You must begin with yourself. As much as we have a culture that says that's selfish, self-centered, egoic, why must you begin with yourself? You have nothing to give. If you are not a full well, we were able to come to this yesterday in our mindfulness class. If you are not a full well, what are you offering that is not then depleting, diminished, insufficient for both you and others, right? ER docs know this, don't they? Well, right? We all do. If we think we're just going to give and just going to give, there's no banana muffins today, by the way. Why? Because I decided, wait a minute, if this is not right for me, how could it be best or right for others? Right? So guess what? I actually went, no, it can't. If I'm not willing to live this, then how am I going to ask others to do that as well? Right? And so we're going to practice in that way. So if you ever are in another Tonglen practice, ever, and someone starts with, let's just breathe in the suffering and stop and begin with yourself. You can change that instruction for you. Begin by offering yourself all that is needed to be whole, all that is needed to be stable, all that is needed to be a benefit. And so the other person I want to thank before we strike the bell to begin is Denise, who has us now, let's see if it's true, the sound of the bell on Zoom. I'm so excited after, oh, you just don't even know. After so many years of going doink and nothing, I think we have it working. And so we're going to set ourselves with nobility. The words that have been coming to me the last few days, based on the book we're reading, Smile at Fear, are resting in this sacred world. Isn't that lovely? Resting in this sacred world. And however you then do that, and the nobility is not simply yours, though you are an essential part, it is the whole of this life and its goodness, and the goodness then of all beings. And as we rest, we can simply rest in open space, for example, listening to the sound of the birds. We could rest in the felt sense of our own bodies, stable, supported, in connection with the earth. And we always begin, before we strike the bell, by remembering the goodness within us, the goodness around us, the reality of the infinite goodness, immeasurable, undying, untangled, that pervades the whole of the world and beyond. Placing the mind with intention wherever it is placed. There is no one spot better than another. For a few moments, it's useful to leave the mind with the aspiration wide, opening, including, enjoying, and loving all things. We still and settle the body. We open this vast sky-like quality of mind wide, deep, and we commit ourselves then wholeheartedly to arriving to just this moment. Feeling the spaciousness, the stillness, the silence, even with all the bird song that abides and holds all things, all beings. And we see if we can't make contact with the good in all directions. Life happening. The beauty of the sounds, the beauty of the ear that has the capacity to hear, and the felt sense of connection, of the beauty of the preciousness of this human life and of the life all around us, resting in this sacred world. And then we begin slowly by beginning to incline the mind towards the in breath, breathing in, making contact with that wholehearted sense of gratitude, of appreciation, of connection, recollecting this privilege of being alive, this day, this moment. And then the privilege and the opportunity for being of benefit right here, right now, just like this. We awaken just this moment to the stillness, the silence, the open space, which is the quality of our own awakened heart minds. And then we remember goodness just like this. And we breathe that goodness into our own hearts, making contact with that wholeheartedness in us, the one that wishes for happiness, for ease, for well being, for safety, for oneself. And for all beings. And we can offer ourselves the standard blessings or well wishes as a way of refueling, recentering, and remembering that our goodness is being counted on by all beings and that it matters. May I have ease and well being. May I be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May I rejoice, be grateful, and glad at the blessings I have received in this life itself. And may I rest and dwell in this stable, calmed, open heart mind, free from grasping, from clinging, free from rejecting, free from hatred and aggression, free from ignorance. With each in breath, we breathe it in, and then with the beginning out breaths, we begin to move it throughout the body mind. We touch every cell, every muscle, every pore. We can sweep the body gently, being friendly, distributing this goodness beyond the idea of this physical heart to the whole of one's being, so that you become something like a glowing, radiant light of goodness. It's actually true. Breathing in care, love, appreciation, the wish for ease and well-being. And with that out breath, sending it throughout the whole body, including each hair, each pore, all the way into each cell in the marrow. Bathe yourself in your goodness. Filling the tank. And as we recollect our own goodness, we begin to remember and see, hear, feel, sense, know the goodness all around us. Everything becomes the blessing. The blessing of this very in and out breath, the blessing of the bird song, this cool morning air on our skin, and our capacity and capability to love is all right here. And then we rest in this sacred world, abiding with love until we are whole. Heart, mind, and body all joined here as one. And the Buddha said in this context, you then become the lamp in the darkness. By your very being and presence here. And the filling of oneself is not for simply the purpose, as we have discussed, for the pleasant, for the joyful, for the glad, for the rejoicing, though all that is possible. It is now essential that we expand the heart beyond ourselves to include others. And so then I would like you to call to mind, just in the last day or so, a moment of concern, a moment of difficulty, somebody you saw who had a particular need. And I'd like you to call that directly to mind. A moment of suffering. It may be someone you knew, maybe someone you didn't know. And remembering the open, spacious, infinite quality of your own good heart, I'd like you to take that difficulty and begin to breathe it right in to your own heart space. Mine was a gentleman who had all of his belongings around him and was having difficulty navigating them. And as I saw him, I had the wish, I wish I could help him get those things together so that there would be greater ease for him. And in the Tibetan tradition, they imagine this difficulty, this need, this suffering as a dark black smoke. And it's certain that they use this because we know that it's not always easy to turn towards suffering, to move closer to it, and to then be willing to take it in. And as we breathe it in, we're going to let it touch our own good hearts, like a snowflake might touch a hot coal, dissolving on the spot the suffering, being transformed and absorbed by your very willingness. And then we breathe out the goodness in the other, the goodness in our care, the goodness in our well wishes, and in those blessings. And we send it out completely, wholeheartedly, once again. Offering the wish for ease and well being. You can create an image for this. You can recite the phrases I will recite now. You can feel that warmed, expanding, glowing heart light. May you have happiness and the causes for happiness, offering this to the one, the special one in need. May you be free from suffering and all of its causes. May you too rejoice, take delight, and be glad. It's your good fortune. May you rest and dwell in the shared humanity of this human life. Free, protected, and loved. Continuing to breathe in that dark smoke as we breathe out that purified light, that steam, that glowing goodness, whatever it is for you, sending it out with each out breath. As I understand it, this was Christ's action on the cross. I will take this on for you, and I will send you its blessings. And if at any time you feel fatigued, if there's a weariness, a sense of demand, or this not enoughness, come back directly to yourself once again. Offering yourself that initial essential nutriment so that all your giving, all your contribution comes from wholeness. We could expand that circle then even further beyond this special one to include all those just like this one who need support or help or care or love or patience as well. We can expand the circle of this heart beyond this person to include all those just like us who need this too. And we can begin then to breathe it in. For as many as is workable, doable for you today. And we could offer these very same phrases then in all directions to all beings. Breathing out that love, that compassion, that goodness with each breath. May we all have happiness and the causes for happiness, and we know what real happiness is. We breathe in that unhappiness. We send out happiness, love, ease, the good medicine. May we all be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. We begin by breathing it in. Sending out that relief. May we all recognize and rejoice at our good fortune, the good fortune of this precious human life, accorded to few. May we use it well. May we rest and dwell in this vast, open, and infinite awakened heart mind. inviting the whole world in. Until all beings have peace and well-being. And then we expand this practice even a little bit further. And I don't do this part of the practice often, but it's what I'd like you to be practicing in this next week. So if you make contact with a moment of good, let's say the sound of that beautiful woodpecker, I'd like you to breathe in the good, make contact, feel yourself, and then send out the good. Don't keep it. Make contact, make it useful and a benefit, and send it out. And then when we make contact for the difficult, for the suffering, the painful, the confused, the conflicted, the violent, or the lonely, we also breathe it in and transform it by that very open heart, and then send out the goodness. So that every breath moment, every contact point becomes an opportunity to be of benefit. When we touch the good, we breathe it in and we send out the good. When we touch the difficult, we breathe it in. We breathe it in for as many beings as we can, beginning with us. And we send out that care, that compassion, that willingness. Making each breath and all of life an act of love. The Bodhisattva trains thus. And then all will be well, and all manner of thing will be well. Joined, connected as a part of the family of things. And may this practice this very day contribute. So be it. You're so smart. So slow. I know. I know. So smart. Because goodness, goodies, is that the same? Yes, they are. So then, no problem. Any questions about that practice? Not everyone here has done the Tonglen, remember, sending and taking practice before. It comes primarily out of the Tibetan tradition and is understood to be an essential practice of the path of the Bodhisattva. And the Bodhisattva, for those who are not within this particular cosmology, the Bodhisattva is the one becoming in the becoming of awakening. This moment, just this moment, just this moment. And that is all of us waking up just this moment. Thoughts about it? Thoughts about it online as well? Difficulties, challenges, benefits? Well, this is interesting. So Felicia has a question. So then, was Jesus not contributing to the well-being of himself as well by dying on the cross? Or is it that it was for the good of the well-being of others that superseded that? It was understood, at least in that theology, as being for others. And yes, Felicia, I will agree with you. If it was completely wholeheartedly by choice, then of course it was to his benefit as well. I just don't know if we have to give everything, particularly in this human life, to be of benefit. I don't know if we can. And yes, can then a whole life be a commitment to that, which is, I think, the point. The answer is yes, isn't it? Well, we know, Jim, you've heard me call out this, Father, Father, how have you forsaken me? But we also know the reality in all traditions of doubt. I've talked about it over the last few weeks, right? And so isn't it for all of us, like, do I have what it takes? Am I capable of this? Am I worthy of the task? And I think that's a fair question. So it wasn't just like, oh, yippee for me. I don't know if that's true. I think that's a little like, I don't know what I've got or where and how much today, really. And isn't it then just a moment by moment walk? Truly, like I didn't know. I'll just use the banana muffin example. With all the right intention in all the world, it turned out not to be the best thing to do. Was that for me or others? And the answer is yes. Right? The answer is simply yes, for me and others. So you will know, as my father has so boldly said about me, if I ever show up with cookies, that's 100% because I was capable and wanted to and could do it wholeheartedly. You can count on me for this. And I want to be able to count on you in exactly the same way. Not out of duty, obligation, or from the place of deficiency, but because, yes, I have this to contribute. And I trust whatever that is, actually. I want you to trust it as well. And it might simply be the reciting of the phrases and the holding of an open heart in a particular moment, right? And wouldn't it be enough? And the answer is it is. We know for sure that it is. We did waiting room studies where a person entered the waiting room with some anxiety, a restlessness in the body, and the kind of agitation and talking too fast and distress. And we sat that person in the middle of the waiting room. And what did we notice? Everyone scattered. People literally got up from their seats to go find a refuge. Like, I can't be with this because they themselves were not yet okay. They were not whole, right? They were not well. And then we had this very same thing happen with the person just sitting down quietly reciting the loving kindness phrases. And guess what happened? Everybody sat on top of them. Actually, right? Just one. It didn't, right? The illness was in the room, the cough was still there, the headache, the right, heartburn, whatever it was, and yet we know and right can now measure these things better, that there is healing happening right there. And so do not believe that it does not matter. That would be a false belief. We absolutely know for sure it does. And then you have the job of going, when do I have to apply it first to me? And remember, this is how we begin. It is why we practice every day. You fill your tank every day for at least what? 13 minutes, they say. 13 minutes. Drink it in, soak it up, and then you will have what you need. And then when you don't, what? You do it again. Let me draw this in for myself so that I, out of my wellness, out of my ease, out of my. And when we say wellness, we don't mean that you don't have a bad back, do we? That's not what we mean. We mean wellness, the joining of that heart, mind, and body into wholeness is the wellness we're talking about. Why? Well, because we know this body is going to continue to disintegrate. But it is not true of love. Right? It is not true. Felicia, I don't know if you're still here, but I hope that makes sense.
It does. It just was kind of messing with my head with, I was going back and forth on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would suppose whatever we could do to whole beings, if it was of benefit to all, would be the right thing. Unfortunately, I think we have taken some things from that, which is I have to give everything up. I am not worthy of care or attending to oneself. And our Western puritanical maybe culture has turned it into a weapon rather than the aspiration to be of benefit in every moment. And why wait till the end? Why not do it now? Why not be of benefit in the way you can be today? And then this breath, and then, right, understanding the exchange, right? That what is good for me towards wholeness, uh, uh, and we get mixed up about this as well, don't we? Quite sufficiently. I didn't mean that. I meant consistently. Consistently, we get mixed up because what do you need to be well then? Do I need this yard? The truth is, I don't. And am I truly fortunate and blessed to have it? Well, there's no doubt about it. And can I be grateful, glad, and use that joy then in other ways? And the answer is yes, I can also. But you just have to get on about 5 scrolls of something to go, well, everybody thinks they're supposed to have everything. Always. And that not to have it means somehow they have been deprived or denied. And I do want everyone to have enough also. But it's not easy, is it? It is not easy. What's enough, says Dennis.
You know, Don, thinking about letting go of happiness, what kept coming to me was a let go of striving.
Yes, that is what it
That's
is.
a big piece of it. You don't, it's happy. Place. Striving would be,
Striving is a beautiful word because when you let go of all striving for something else, whatever that would be, right?
Wanna
Whether
make
that's
it.
happiness or partners or boy, right job, better something. It isn't that I don't, again, we all want to have enough. That is right. Interestingly, we are currently living in a world where the basics are not going to be forthcoming. You're not getting cheese if you don't have it. You're not getting milk if you don't have it. And you're not getting bread if you don't have it, because we've just stopped that at the federal level for San Diego Food Bank. You're not going to get that. And that's for sure. Which is why we have to be resourced, because then it befalls who? Those who have. And maybe even those who don't, right? Because everyone has something they can contribute, even if it's only then those wishes for well-being. And so then did we get everybody understand the informal practice? The informal practice is several times throughout the day, as often as you can. When making contact with the good, breathe it in, offer it to yourself, and then send it out. And when you make contact with the difficult, breathe it in, transform it, and send out the good. And see what happens. See what happens. And really, more than see what happens out there with whatever impact that has. We're not going to do a waiting room study this week. I want you to see what happens for you. That's where the good medicine actually has its first impact for you. And then anyone else will be wonderful. And what a beautiful day. Okay, I don't know what time it is. Jim, can you help me? I don't see a clock anywhere. Quarter till. We have a few minutes. Other thoughts? Striving for happiness, striving for enoughness, striving even in our practice. You can use your spiritual practice, whatever it is, like how to make that perfect enough, good enough. We don't strive there either. That's what I said. Sometimes you will not have enough for others. It's okay. It's okay. Then you begin again. Breathe for yourself.
My challenges. I want to reach out.
Glasses, yeah.
Really wanted to be out there. Wanted to buy a coffee at Starbucks. Obviously,
It did not. No, it did not. That's exactly right. So then, as we know, right action is based on what can be received. Not on your brilliant idea. And then can we offer what is offerable, what is useful, and then to the extent that that's possible, what is needed, right? Without regard for your idea about it, right? Which may be as we have done with this very same person, left shoes near her. That's all. And then quietly walk away because she was not able to receive them. Now, we know this is true, not only in this kind of moment, but in often other kinds of moments, right? You have your bright idea, your great offering, and then someone goes, wait a minute, I'm gluten-free. I'm not eating that thing. That's not a benefit to me. And it's not a problem, right? Because that's just information for, okay, not this, like this. And then what can I do? What can I do? And it may be having nothing to do directly with that person. It may be true, who cannot tolerate the conversation, the eye contact, or any sense of safety in it. And then what do? Well, you might give to CRC, who can then offer her extra bags with some stuff in it. Right? But there's always a way, right? It may not be your favorite way. It's also true. Right? When we were doing showers of blessings, we went and visited Jim. You remember this. Lisa, I think you remember this too. We went to showers of blessings to consider that as one of our compassionate actions. And it didn't take too long to figure out that we did not have a population who was going to be capable of scrubbing down showers for 4.5 hours, right? That was not going to be our best contribution. Not that it's not meaningful, not that it wouldn't have mattered. And we did not have a population who is going to really be able to do it without ultimately taking on some, now my knees hurt, now my back is gone, now my arms are rubbed, right? And so we went, this is probably not our best effort, right? It doesn't mean it doesn't count. It doesn't mean the consideration is wrong, and right? And then we figure out, how do we support that? Well, we collect clothes a couple times a year and bring it over to their closet. We bring small hygiene items, right? And we bring those there. That's our contribution. And give money. We can do that. Now, more or less, which is better? All from goodness, right? Then it all counts. And so that's your job, isn't it? To go, what's my contribution? But begin with the breath. Because that means I see you, you see me, even when you can't look at the person. You can't look them in the eye because of their own mental states, their own challenges, right? But you can still send the blessing. And then I trust whatever comes from that. Whatever you would then do would be right action from my point of view. I see you. I recognize this is difficult or suffering or confused, or right? And then we keep finding our way. But from the Buddhist tradition, that which you cannot see, that which you do not recognize, that which you do not understand as essentially also a part of you, you cannot care for adequately. You cannot care for adequately. Can we? We can't. No, you have to understand, this is me. This is me too. The one who doesn't want help, the one who's turning the other way. In mental health, I don't want to tell you how many times I've had to help people in ways they didn't particularly want to be helped at all. In fact, on a time or two, I've had people threaten or hurt me. But what do I understand? This is not you. This is a temporary state of suffering and confusion. And I will do still what I can, even in the face of that. And we're all going to be put in that position as well, aren't we? All of us. Nobody clapped. Nobody went, yay for you. We're so grateful. They spit in your face. They turn the other way. This, right? Renee knows this, right? Help in whatever form we can offer. And sometimes by force. That's also true, isn't it? We're going to help you. There's not one thing about this you're going to like. Right. And this constant walk of all of ours, isn't it? Which is, there's a line in one of the suttas, I am the gift, I am the giver, and I am the receiver of all good. Right. And that means I will transform beyond my idea in a second, in a blink, based on what? What I can see can be offered, even if nobody's clapping. You don't get the first pew in anything. Your name doesn't go up anywhere. Right. And in my, from this tradition's point of view, there is another line, and then we'll do our prayer. The line is, give like a white crane in snow. Right. Give like a white crane in snow. That it is seen is not so much the point. Yes, Kathleen, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. You know, as I'm listening to you, and it's a slightly different band, I've been struggling with, the current situation and how to make peace with it and all of that. And
Yes.
I think they believe that they're doing what's best for us in our long run. And
I'm not sure. I
Well,
like
they-
the idea too.
well, they think that, but here's
Yeah,
how I cope with that is to, breathe in that, which
Yes.
you've been saying all morning,
Yes.
which feels negative, feels scary,
Yes.
feels threatening,
yes,
and then, push it out with good.
yes,
And, or breathe it out with good.
Yes.
And that can be a way for us to cope with changes we don't like,
That's right.
priorities, everything else, the fear that we have. all
That's
of those
right.
things.
that's right.
And because, other resources will come in, change does happen.
We are here.
Yeah, it sucks. We're
Yeah.
unhappy and we're scared. but
Yes,
This is sort of the reverse,
Yeah.
on us.
Yes.
From these folks.
but we're
So,
here. And
yeah.
so we can make a difference, as we know that one person in that waiting room, converting really an entire room of people with the same difficulties by their countenance, by their way of being, and by their commitment to it. Not spoken, but felt. And that is all of our job, for sure, all of the time. And yes, there have been difficult moments, and there is the truth of suffering, and there is a path to its end. And we are committed to that in, like I say, big and larger ways. And then some of us politically, and some of us who go, I just can't do that. I can't even think about that today. I can knit that cap. Yay. Yay for that. Because it's still, as we said 2 weeks ago, though it looks like a drop of dye in the ocean, it changes the whole of the ocean. And we have to remember that, don't we? Because we get into that insufficiency time, like it's just not enough because, well, that difficulty still here. But no, it's not actually true. Because what? Transforming every breath, every moment, actually, towards the good that we're committing to.
Witnessing this homeless woman with flowers on a corner close by where I live, and then have the sheriff come in. She's not doing any harm, having these flowers on the corner, and then the sheriff come in, and then I'm feeling, why are you doing it? I wanted to go over and intervene,
Right.
and the sheriff is doing what the sheriff feels he needs to do. He's homeless, that has the powers.
Yes. Yes. So how do we work?
And
With
witnessing
Yes.
and feeling helpless.
Yes. Yes. I think we're all feeling a little helpless. That's not quite true. And this is why I want us to be practicing breath by breath, because I want you to see the power that we actually hold and that we actually have. It's bigger than you know. And then we also have to act, right? Whatever those things will be. All right. Beautiful. And so we end our time together with the Bodhisattva prayer. And remember, you don't have to know what it means. You know, not important. It simply means that we are arriving awake and present to this very moment, and that we are committing ourselves once again, heart, mind, and body, to the good, to the wise, to the skillful, and to being a benefit for all beings, not just our own interest. May I be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles. And for the boundless multitudes of living beings, may I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are free from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have happiness. May we all be free from sorrow. May we all remember and recognize our infinite blessings. And may we be an ongoing, breath by breath contribution to the beauty, to the peace, and to the well-being of the whole of this world. May it be so this day and always. So however you are celebrating the beauty of this precious human life in its new arrival here in spring, please be in joy with that and nourish yourselves well. There is work to do. There is work to do. And I'm counting on all of us to do it together. So thank you all so much. Thank you. We have our next Philabelly, I think, on May 15th. It's a little early. It was the third one, evidently. May 15th, and then I think June 20th, maybe. Something like that. But we need all of your support and assistance there. Lynn will be sending out the emails this week to get us rolling. We do not have a shortage of food. So we are not a group that has trouble providing ample food items. It's not our dilemma.
Yes, we had so many unknown food items arriving.
Yeah, we did.
It
We
was
did.
great.
We did.
Yeah,
Everything went. I did get a piece of feedback though. Where's Jim? The piece of feedback was, if we don't have enough tamales for everybody,
Would have. A dozen were stolen from my office.
was it? Oh, yes. Yes. The end of the line was quite disappointed in the lack of tamales. The tamales are be well, everyone. Happy Easter. Yes. Yes.
So I'd like to
Hang
ask
on.
everyone if they have any comments about what went well or what didn't go well, could they please text those to me so we can continue to grow
Yeah.
in this.
Make this better and better.
Yeah.
Was there a shortage of anything in specific?
No, not food items. For
Help.
sure.
No.
A little bit of help. We're realizing at the end, what happened actually was, and it happened to me, though not a problem. We were putting items aside to be kept for something, and so that there wasn't enough eyes for making sure where they went, for making sure that they were safe, and so some things got.
Ellie's inclination is, if it's here, Let's pack it up.
Yeah.
Let's take it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as it relates to food, I'm not so concerned. There was actually a couple items that Libby brought that were actually unfortunately my good stuff that got caught. Now, again, in the long and the short, this is not the point, but I don't want somebody's grandma's bowl
Yeah.
I hate the part.
Yeah.
but
going off in a way that, so we have to just do a little attending at the end. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
That way this day. I'll put that in the email.
That might be important. It has to be pretty well disposable.
Yeah.
Libby grabbed my stuff and
I put masking tape on my name.
yes,
I don't know if that will work.
it just disappeared.
Pardon?
It just disappeared. Oh,
Maybe have a station where like all the stuff that's going a designated place, like this is the no-go zone.
I think so, Tanya.
Yeah.
And, Adrian has kind of said she'd be willing to kind of watch that because there's just too much happening at the end there.
Diane,
Right. Trying to get everything like boxed up, put away, cleaned
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Set it aside. We thought it was in an okay place. It just didn't. But again, this is just a part of our learning.
Right. And you know what? It might show up next time when you're there. It's like, oh, this is right here, and somebody like
Could
put
be-
it aside.
It could be.
So, yeah.
It could be. Everything's possible. We just want to make sure that we're doing it well so that everyone's safe. Most important.
Definitely.
Most.
There's always that great intention there. So
Yep.
we all know that great heart is there. So there you go.
It is there completely and always. Thank you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Diana.
Yes, you're welcome. Good to see you.
It was so nice to see you ladies yesterday, and Dennis as well. So may you all have a
Wonderful. It
beautiful
was
week.
as well.
Thank
Thank you.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes. Be well, everyone. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.